the Senate is voting to block some arms sales to Israel. Remember, there was a 30-day deadline for the U.S. to assess whether Israel, not to assess. The 30-day deadline was set because the U.S. said Israel is not in compliance with its own laws, U.S. laws, saying that you cannot inhibit humanitarian aid and get arms sales. And then the U.S. just sort of blew off their own metrics that were written in this letter, saying that there had to be almost, I think it was 350 trucks a day. There hasn't been anything close to 350 trucks a day. And Israel is sending them in to areas which Israel controls, but is allowing essentially, criminals, for lack of a better term, to hijack these trucks very conveniently, I should say. But here is, what number is this?
9.
Here is...
his name's George Hemley. He's basically the interim senator from New Jersey until Andy Kim is going to take over in January. But this is Menendez's seat he had to give up.
Yes. Here's what he had to say. This is yesterday.
About what is causing the scale of suffering in Gaza and the West Bank and why we are seemingly unable to alleviate it in any significant way. These questions are not abstract. They stem from what I have seen and heard with my own eyes and ears during a recent official trip to Jordan to assess the state of humanitarian assistance in Gaza, the West Bank, and Lebanon. What I saw was this. There is a de facto blockade of even the most basic aid supplies getting through Karim Shalom crossing, the only viable point of entrance for aid to Gaza and the West Bank. This blockade has severely restricted the amount of aid to make it to the desperate Palestinians whose lives literally depend on it. Just today, it was reported that nearly 100 trucks transporting life-saving aid were violently looted at gunpoint, adding yet another unique challenge to getting aid to civilians. The effects of this choke point have resulted in other absurd outcomes. I recently toured warehouses, including one that U.S. Secretary of State Blinken toured himself, stocked to the very brim, particularly practically overflowing with life-saving aid supplies. This blockade has prevented the safe transport of those supplies into Gaza and the West Bank, where just miles away, women, children, and families are literally starving. These are pallets upon pallets of food, medication, pillows, latrines, and winterized tents to keep families warm as winter sets in. All of it just sitting there because of a man-made blockade. What I heard was this. I met with medical surgeons and doctors of the Jordanian armed forces serving in Gaza who recounted harrowing stories of amputations on children, futile attempts to keep the malnourished alive, and operations in makeshift tents under live fire and drone strikes. These frontline providers, heroes, told me the number of partially operational hospitals are resorting to using everyday materials like sewing thread for clothes to stitch up patients after surgeries because they have run out of appropriate medical supplies. That should appall every one of us.
I just got to say, he's from my hometown and went to high school in my hometown, smaller town in New Jersey. Represent, because he only has 2 months left and is using this as an opportunity to be on the right side of history. So credit to George Hemley there.
Where is the guy from the ADL and AIPAC to say that this guy's anti-Semitic?
Yeah.
I would imagine that's going to be a following. So there is a vote tomorrow. A resolution of disapproval that is filed by Bernie Sanders. I think Van Hollen has said that he's going to vote for it. It sure sounds like Helmy will vote for it.
Warren, Van Hollen, it's Bernie's resolution. And the big thing that changed is that J Street is sending out J Street, not in terms of the power that AIPAC has, right? But a lot of you'll see similar talking points sometimes from Democrats, and it's usually because J Street sent them guidance. AIPAC does that for Democrats and all Republicans. But The fact that they're saying it's time to vote yes on this is actually maybe good news for the vote total on the Democrat side. It still won't be enough, but
I welcome the help and them joining the chorus, but it's despicable it's taken them this long, frankly.
Totally agree.
And this was an organization that I was pretty excited about. I don't know, whatever it was, 10, 12 years ago when it launched. And in the most crucial moment, it failed to do what it should have done. But nevertheless, the more voices who can support this. So you have two jobs today. One, call your senator, tell them to vote in favor of Sanders' resolution of disapproval. And then two, that HR 9495, the so-called terrorist financing the bill, it basically says that the Treasury Department can decide unilaterally, without explanation, without any criteria, that a nonprofit organization is supportive of terrorist actions and strip them of their nonprofit status. Now, this is a bill that has been pushed by AIPAC as a way of undermining and smearing any type of organization. It could be, it could be, if not now, it could be J Street. It could really, it could be a lot of these organizations.
Human Rights Watch, yeah.
Human Rights Watch. It could be any of them. But this is an AIPAC push bill. It has come up for a vote before. It was a special session when it came up before, about a week ago, I guess it was, and it needed a 2/3 majority. It did not get it. They have now pushed it through committee, and it's coming to the floor tomorrow, and all it needs is a simple majority. There were 50 Democrats who voted for this. It is basically, I would say, you could probably overlay an AIPAC donation list and lay it perfectly over this list.
Or you could just send it straight to Justice Democrats about who we're primarying in 2026.
One could hope. But I'm going to read off these 50 names. But call your congresspeople regardless, whoever it is, and tell them to vote against 9495. Allred, Budzinski, Carvillo, Case, Castor in Florida, Costa, Craig, Cuellar, Davids in Kansas, Davis in North Carolina, Dingell, Lois Frankel, Golden in Maine, Gonzalez, Gottheimer, Harder in California, Hayes, Hoyer, Kaptur, Landsman, Lee in Nevada, Levin, Manning, McBath, Mang, Moore in Wisconsin, Moskowitz, Mervan, Norcross, Pallone, Panetta, Pappas, Perez, Ryan, Pat Ryan, Schiff, Schneider, Scholten, Schreier, Sherman, Slotkin, Sorensen, Stanton, Stevens, Strickland, Swazi, Sykes, Thanader, Torres in California, and Torres in New York, of course, Vargas, Vasquez, and Wasserman Schultz. Call them because in the hands of, in the main, this is a bad bill. You should have to have a criteria when you determine and call an organization a terrorist sympathizing organization. There is no criteria. It's simply a determination made by Treasury. And understand, these Democrats are handing this power to Donald Trump to go after any nonprofit, Planned Parenthood. Name it. And they're going after it. So call your congresspeople and your Senate today. Do it now. If you have to stop listening to the show, do it now. We'll put both of the switchboard numbers. Bradley, can you put those in the YouTube and podcast descriptions? Put them up now. Maybe even put them on the screen for a minute. And call while you listen to the show. It'll take you 1 second to do it, honestly. Do we have those numbers?
We put this up earlier, but I'll zoom in on it again.
Okay.
That is alternative. You may phone the United States Capitol switchboard at 202-224-3121. That's 202-224-3121. Switchboard operator will connect you directly with the Senate office you request.
And it's the same phone number for the House as well.
That's the same house. So 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121. Call, ask for your senator first, and then your Congress person, regardless of what party they're in. I do not think, somebody had asked, could Treasury theoretically go after churches for this? And I think that their status is different. They're not a charitable organization. I don't think they have 501(c)(3) status. I think it's a different one. But it would be nice to get that rumor going to inspire some people. That wouldn't happen, but I don't know. It would be nice.
Would be.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.